if you drop your rates, as many of you will do, you're looking at the competitor rates, your competitor might drop their rates, and that can create just a negative cycle where your entry point is going to be cheaper than somewhere else. But more importantly than that is, if you aren't running ads, if you don't have a national brand like Extra Space or a huge marketing budget, when you increase rates on existing tenants, you will churn customers. It's not a bad thing. If you have 100 units and 98 of them are rented, and you come up with a strategy for pushing rates, and that results in 15, moving 15 tenants 20%, and 10 of them leave, you're in a pretty good situation there. You now are left with 88 units of your 100 units left, where 10 of them are now paying 20% more, and you now have new inventory that you can lease in a market where you probably don't have to discount your units. So it's okay to free up some inventory. But if you push rates every 3 months in a market where you can't backfill those units, you're just going to end up in a situation where you lose occupancy, and it's hard to climb back. So I think something for a non-institutional brand in maybe a non-urban market, coming up with somewhere between 9 and pushing rates on tenants that have been there maybe a minimum of 9 months, and capping the increase at like 50%. If they come in at this entry rate, I wouldn't push them more than 50% of their rate. It leads to bad reviews. It's hard to retain them. So you just need to be thoughtful about that if you don't have an endless supply of new tenants coming in. And on top of that, it's not just as simple as running ECRI and forgetting it. You should have a thoughtful strategy around retention in the case that you do experience higher churn than you expected. So that's whether it's a customer service agent or an on-site manager, preparing that person to respond to somebody who's leaving as a result of that increase. For example, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm just not going to eat this," you may say, "Look, meet them halfway." In that case, you could still achieve an increase and you can retain that tenant. Or maybe you just let them stay at their rate because the other 9 tenants of the 10 that you pushed actually accepted it. So it's not just about the rate increase, it's about how to respond to it.